Hi, and welcome to another edition of Luthier's Lair. This week is going to be, this is going to be probably a three-part series. I've decided to refurbish the very first Scarab base that I made. It was back in 2015, I think. The first base I ever made was in 1998. Then I had a break from guitar building until around about 2013. And the first Scarab design I did was built in 2015. I think about September 2015. So the original prototype's just been lying around basically, with me iterating on it to try and improve on its design. And there was a number of things I didn't really like about the initial prototype design. That's why the Scarab, actually when you see it, the original one looks quite a bit different from the actual production Scarab that I'm making now. So without much further ado, let's get into it. I decided actually probably to do a total refurb on this one, including the electronics, the wiring, everything, the finish of the body, and I'm going to show decision making on, you know, whether to stick with the original neck or not, with the original bridge hardware or not, electronics or not, stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun, probably quite interesting too, I hope, and let's get on with it. Here we are in the workshop, and like I said previously, I think we're going to do a rework here on the original Scarab that I built. This is purely a prototype, but it plays very well, and I've always been sort of happy with its sound. It's just a bit, well, the Scottish word is shugly in bits. It was the first Scarab design, and the design was actually sound. It was a very good design. It's just certain things I'm not happy with. I was planning to just do a refurb of the electronics and the little jewel inserts I did for the neck, but looking at it, I might just do a full refurb on this, including a refinish of the body, and maybe dye the body. And since we've got this lovely zebra wood body here, I was thinking roughing this down. This is tung oil, so it'll be easy to rough down and dye with maybe the red dye this time, to keep everyone happy, you know. Anyway, before actually this sanding and shaping and contouring job was done before I had the routing table. This is completely done by hand, except for, you know, the pickup cavities and the control cavity. The control cavity, I made it complicated for myself and did an odd shape on the control cavity, which was maybe a silly thing to do, maybe not. Perhaps not, as Arnold Brown would say. And of course the neck plate's a bit tarnished now. I think I did this maybe 6 years ago, so it's aged very well, but it's still, you know, let's do a refurb on the whole thing, shall we? Okay. So what I'm going to do, decided, full refurb. I'm not happy with the pickups here, with the screws and float system, which is springs for the pickups. There's hardly any movement there. The bridge, I don't know. I may put a new bridge in, I may not. This bridge is pretty cool though. This isn't a bad bridge at all. I may or may not put in a new bridge. I'm going to completely redo the electronics on it as well, because I know that at this point in time I wanted a style whereby I could switch off the pickups too, so I got a triple throw switches in here. I don't need that. I want the double pole double throw switches in here that I can switch between series and parallel, which is the design that I settled on eventually for the Scarab. As you can see, this is a bit loose now. There's just a bunch of things I want to fix on this base. Get the prototype done, and then I can sell this original Scarab. It is a beauty. I mean, the zebra wood is absolutely beautiful. It's a bit toxic to me though, so I'm going to have to wear rebreathers all the time during the refurb. So let's get to it. Let's take apart the neck. Let's get the neck separated from the body. Sounds a bit gruesome, but there you go. That's what we'll do, okay? So, as you can see, I have the neck off the guitar now. And the back cavity off, and I'm just trying to lose some of the... I'm quite happy with the wiring job I did in here. It's not really that good actually when I look at it. But it's not too bad. So what I'm going to do, the next thing I'm going to do is take the battery box out. So I'm going to put the AC off actually because it's interfering with the sound, so hold on 1 minute. Better. So let's take the battery box out. It's actually slightly damaged as well, so I don't know, I might end up just replacing the whole thing. Let's take that off. And let's first feed this through one at a time, see if we can. So I do have a... There we go, that's better actually. There we go. Battery box is out. Yeah, I don't like that much. Okay, the wiring is nice and neat in here, which I'm surprised at because I was rather impatient to get this done. Bad move when you're making a guitar. And we'll loosen off all these nuts. We'll take the control pots out, and then finally the switches, and then we'll take the whole circuitry out. And let's have a look at the cavity after that, shall we? Okay, give that again. Sorry about the background noise. John Farnham, actually, the Australian singer, is playing live right now in Sydney, I believe, so I'm streaming that via the old Facey. And what we've got here now, so to show you, is that. A very nice clean cavity in here. The shielding job on it is, I'm not that happy with, but the cavity is very clean. All the electrical connections were okay. Could have done a better job on wiring, I think. So what I'm going to do now is turn over to the front of the bass, as you can see. So we need to take the pickups out now, so that's what I'm going to do next. Hold of all the bits and pieces here. That's Mr. Farnham stopped streaming now, so that's cool. Not really, but it is. Let's take these screws out. Okay, these pickups that came with the stock screws, that I was never happy with. These screws have a tendency, I like to drill really tight pilot holes and then use, this sounds a bit dirty, but use Vaseline to cut the thread, use the screws to cut the thread. Sometimes they snap and you could be left with a really bad situation there. So that's the bridge pickup. It's not bad. It's in good nick. Springs, yeah. Screws are okay actually. The screw holes are fine. That's not bad. Let's put these springs aside. Yeah, I'm gonna redo these. Don't like them. do not like it at all. Not one bit. So take these double buckers out. Humbuckers, not humbuggers. Alright, and these screws out too. Yeah, it's still got still got the good Vaseline on them there. So that's the pickups out, and now it's just left for me to take the bridge out, and I will have to use the long drill here to do that. Those are long. The bridge screws. Go figure, eh? Yeah, I only built one base previous to this one, which was the Thistle Eagle base, and the base was hand painted with a thistle and an eagle. And I built that one way back in like 1998. This one was built in 2015, it looks like. So, and there's the bridge earth there. No, that's good, that's okay, nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to pull this out. A bunch of earth there that I did not need, so that the wiring was okay, I suppose, but that's it, you know. That's the bridge taken apart. I can see that I had made a screw up here though, in bridge location, so you know, I might go with a new bridge. We'll see. We'll just see. Maybe use a high mast bridge, maybe. I don't know. That's a nice bridge right there. I think it is a nice one. The thing with this one is that the spacing between the strings is 18 millimeters. I usually go with 19, even with the Gazzbass neck. You know, P bass I'll go with 19. When I first started building properly, I went with 18 for Gazzbass neck, but you know, nah. So we'll stick that aside. Next, we'll get to refurbishing. Okay, so now that the bass guitar is completely stripped of all hardware and the neck unbolted, I have one decision I want to make. Do I go with my original 18mm spacing bridge, or do I use this nice vintage Musicman style bridge that I have on hand? This is the last one I've got of the gold vintage types. It's striking. The problem being, I have a little dilemma here. I can go straight replace this. If I just place it roughly, put the original neck back in place, and measure 34 inches, which is a 34-inch scale base. Let's take it from the inside first, and then the outside. See, there is good. I can use that. Okay. This fingerboard is 20 frets. People like 21 frets, you know. 20 frets is what a P bass has on it, so I don't see the problem with a 20 fret, but 21 frets is popular. 24 frets, a little less so, but still popular. But I usually make 21 and 22 fret necks. The 22 fret necks I make are LED necks. So let's see what a 21 fret neck looks like. I'm not going to put LEDs in this one. So let's grab a 21 fret neck that I've made. What I usually do is make all the necks first. I know roughly what I'm going to be building, so let's see. And let's make it a nice maple finish, shall we? So I'm going to put that in there, and let's see if this is actually even possible to do this. that back a bit, put that there. That's gonna be good for approximation. Let's measure, and this is a Gazzbass profile neck, which I happen to like better myself. But there's 34 there. Okay, let's move the bridge right up to the back pickup, and we can get away with a 34-inch scale neck with this bridge. This is turning into a bit more of a refurb than I would like. Still though, it's hard to not want to use a 21 fret neck, right? 34 is there. It's barely there though. Yeah, it's barely there. You know what, I'm going to stick with the 20. I don't want to risk the quality of the sound and the quality of the build just so that I can stick on one more fret. I'm not going to do it. Let's stick with the original 20 fret fingerboard. Of course that'll be refurbed, cleaned, finished. Put it aside. So that is that decision made. This can go back in its little bubble wrappy, and we'll go with that. Actually, the darker, when I look at it, the rosewood fingerboard looks a little better than the maple on this body. So, and I do have actually another prototype Scarab that has the maple fingerboard. So let's go with that. Okay, next let's sand this baby down. Okay, bye. Okay, now I'm at the stage here that I've sanded this down. A stain in there, damn. Sanded this down with 400 grit, took the finish off. It's pretty rough, but I want to do a sample stain on the wood. Now, I'll have to do that. I have to find my trusty sponge brush. Be right back. I'm going to get a trusty sponge brush to just a little one to paint a sample onto this with my red dye that is made up. Now let's see. We get here now. It's floating still on the wood, so which means the wood is still sealed somewhat. It's still floating on the wood, but I think I can go ahead and just do this over the bridge part because I can sand that out, and I really like that. That is nice. I really like that. Yeah, so we're going to go with this. We're going to go with the red dye, and I think I'll use a wipe on urethane finish for it. That will probably be the best thing. So, cats are disturbing me, I'm sorry about that. So yeah, I'm going to let that dry a little bit and then make the judgment call and then just go for it and sand the rest of the base down. And we'll go with this, which will look nice with the gold hardware, which I'll also refurbish. Yeah, that's looking good. I like this. I'll wait for it to dry. It'll dry probably a little pinkish. I'll just apply more and more coats to it and it will darken up nicely. Okay. Awesome. So I've taken the whole body here down to 220 grit. It's given me enough to get through the stain, the oil and the stain, and to start to reveal some pores in the wood, which will be good for absorption of the dye. First though, for I dye this surface, I'm going to clean off any excess dust with some denatured alcohol, of course, our old favourite. And you see the grain coming right out again when I When I rub it with denatured, that's okay, it'll fade away, and it'll get even duller looking when I put the dye on, and that's okay. Applying the dye, sanding. So what we'll do is we'll put a coat of dye on, let it dry, put another coat on, let that dry, and then decide whether to sand it at that point or not, whether the dye has absorbed into the wood correctly. Okay, if not, then we put another coat of dye on and keep repeating until we know that the dye has absorbed into the wood. Then it's sand it down to a finer grit, probably around about 400. Apply some dye again, sand it down to 800, dye again. I usually go right to 1500 after that, dye again, then 2000 and dye again. Maybe even 3000. But for a very, very hard wood like zebra wood, I think 2000 should be enough to get a very flat surface in order to wipe the wipe on poly as a finish. So let's, that's nice and sort of clean. What we'll do now is you don't need to wait till this alcohol evaporates, because the dye I mixed contains denatured alcohol, just as like a preservative for the dye to extend its shelf life. Water-based dye. So here we go. I think I'll have a sip of coffee first. Right, okay. Lair. Let's use this one. Get this nice and soaked. So I'm going to lay it on real thick. Now see, there's still some water resistance there, which is okay. That's fine. That's okay, mate. As long as it gets absorbed into the wood. Watch for drips. And you can just splash this on. It's really, you know, it will even out as you apply more coats, so you don't need to be that careful here. You just don't want a lot of runs and stuff in it. Okay, not a lot of runs. You can have little bits like that that are sticking up and stuff. You just go over it. I'll show you what I mean in a minute once I get this all covered, this surface covered anyway. Isn't that fun? It's a lot of fun, this. Sploochy, sploochy, splooch. Okay, tiny little bit left on this. Go around it. Okay, just go over the side somewhat because I'm going to blend that in later when it dries. Right, I mean that's basically a coating, right? Do then is you get a larger size brush that's kind of dry, or sponge brush that's dry, and you just do that to even it out. Really simple. And look at that, isn't that nice? Whoa, that's coming up good. That's coming up good. Okay. That's all you need to do. That just evens it out. You get a nice even coating, and that is actually soaking into the wood pretty good. So I'm going to wait until this completely dries. Then just go around the edges here to smear out any runs or thick runs that have happened. You're going to go over these surfaces anyway, and it'll all blend in, because you're going to reactivate the dye at this heavier grit sanding. You'll reactivate the dye slightly, and the more and more finer the sanding gets, excuse me, the harder it is to activate the dye. It just runs on the surface, which is what we ultimately want it to do. That means it's ready for coating with a clear coat, wipe on poly in this instance. So immediately this is looking nice. Okay, a bit better than it was originally. Okay, so I think that'll do it for part one. It's going to be probably a 2 or 3 parter to refurbish this. So that's it for part one. Hope you enjoyed it. part 2 we'll be continuing with the finish on the body. And we get the body all finished up, I'll show you the process involved in that. And then also in part 2 I want to be showing you the beginnings of retrofitting, or refitting actually, the electronics of the bass. And then part 3 will be the finishing of that and the fitting of the neck, and hopefully demonstration of the new prototype, well, the refurbished prototype Scarab, which I will be selling actually. Some lucky punter out there hopefully. And anyway, join me for part 2. See you soon. Bye.